Okay, good morning, everyone. It's a very great pleasure to be here in this university that in some way is like my second university in the north of Spain because my close relationship with this university. Well, in my case, I work for the University of Cantabria, but I have another two umbrella. That is the CIBER-BBN of the Instituto de Salud Carlos III. That is the research organization in Spain for excellence in research. And the other one is another institute that is the right hand of the Hospital Marqués de Valdecilla in Spain. That is a university hospital that is very well known in Spain, in the world, because we have the best ratio of operations in order to replace organs in the world. Okay? So, well, before to go, we have in the title several keywords, and just as we are in a meeting with people from many of the different places and different disciplines, I think that the first is to do some words concerning the importance of these topics. So is the photonics field relevant under the point of view of scientists? The answer is very clear. From 19, in the last 10 years, 18 Nobel Prizes. No discussion. Is the photonics field relevant under the point of view of the development of the countries? Well, in this case, the European Commission, the United States organizations, and even the United Nations organizations speak International Year of Life. That's one of the best or most successful international years in the series of these international years. Okay? And business. What about the business? In 2021, is already data, more or less the gross domestic product was about this number. And from this number, how is the business of photonics correlated with photonics? 10%, more or less, roughly speaking. And photonics sensors. Are sensors an important market? Well, some data. From about 2025, this is going to be more or less the market. And very important, the detail is that the growth rate per year, that is relevant. And as we are typically for fiber sensing communities, what about that? Is more or less this number, and the growth a year is about 8%. So we are speaking in this moment about one field and one topic that is relevant under the point of view of scientists, is relevant under the point of view of development of the countries, not of the research countries, and is important under the point of view of sensing community. Okay? So the next word is going to be a flight over a doctrinal conception in order that everyone from different countries, from different places, different disciplines understood the same, okay? So photonics, what about? Photonics is very simple. It's the science and technology of light. That's it. So everything that you can do using light in science and technology is in the field of photonics. So with this concept, that I'm a very strong supporter, optics is one area of photonics, okay? So if you try to go more into details, you can speak about all these topics. But light, science and technology or light. So concerning the above mentioned, photonics is considered today for the 21st century to play similar role that played in the last part of the last century electronics. It doesn't mean, at all, that photonics is going to be cancel electronics. No, no. There are two very complementary fields, okay? Sometimes electrons control photons, sometimes photons generate electrons, and so on. But under the point of view of the role of the development, this is the common word that many people in the world agree. What about sensing? Sensing, in general terms of everything, is to pick up information. It's pick up information concerning one measurement, one parameter in one object, in one target, okay? But if we do that using light, in this case, we can say that we have a photonic sensor or sensing using light. That is other way to call this area of photonics. Well, with this in mind, what about a photonic sensor? In order to reach a photonic sensor, we have a target, one body, the sea, everything. And then we can know about this measurement. And whatever you like. Then we can send light. From these photons, a very few number of photons return with the information of this measurement, okay? So light to electronics, and then the signal processing, and so on, and then we recover the measurement in electric domain. If the information is not in the electric domain, it doesn't mean for nothing. We need to use in real world. So one sensor is all this system. This is only the transducer part. This is the channel, okay? The optoelectronics or interrogation unite, and then the information must to be in the electric domain. In opposite case, it's not a sensor, it's a transducer. So you realize that many people are speaking about, well, we admit, but they use very confusing ways. And if in the system we have smartness, in this case, with this data, we can able to do some actuation, to create some actuation signal. And in this case, what we have is a smart sensor, a smart photonic sensor, okay? And with this in mind, we can create systems for medicine. We have a trouble in some place, then we send light, maybe light in order to do a treatment, okay? Or even we can send light in order to do the treatment, and even we can send light in order to interrogate, how are you? How is the state in real time? And then some photons became back, and then electronics, and then we can have signal of the treatment. How is going the treatment? In this case, we have a theranostic device. This is the concept of theranostic device. Sensing and treatment working together. And even if we put in the optoelectronic unite smartness, in this case, you have another possibility. You have a actuation signal, and then we have atheranostix smart sensor system, photonic system in this case, because we are using that. So with this in mind, everyone can understand about what we are going to speak. Another word that maybe need to clarify is what we understood about biomedical sensors, okay? Biomedical sensor is that, biomedical sensors is that, but if we use light, in this case, we have a biomedical photonics sensor. Simple. And what we can do? All of these possibilities. Okay? Of course, if we are speaking about sensing, what we do not need to produce in the target is one illness, okay? One problem. So we need to work in safe intensities. We can use light in safe intensities below this maximum exposition time, okay? Okay, another word in the title was health. What about health? Is the same than medicine? No. Health, according with WHO, is this. So in health, in health is part of the conditions in which you live, psychological conditions, environment, everything, to feel good. In another way, medicine is everything that we can do in order to recover the health in the case that you lose, or in order to maintain the health. So different concepts. Well, with this in mind, what we are going to do now is a very fast flight concerning 18 cases, because from my point of view, it's not the moment in order to pick up one kind of sensor and devote all time to one specific case. So it's better to have a broad view of possibility. So 18 significant cases. For him, for health. So by using optical thermography, it's possible to build this kind of devices, sensor systems, in order to control, for instance, in airports, the health. Okay? So this is a photonic sensor based in infrared technology. So according with the concessional doctrinal conception, you have here all these parts. Other possibility is to try to help all people in order that they will able to maintain their physical condition. The executive functions of the people are mainly two, physical and mental situations, cognitive situations. So this is another case, okay? So we get a patient sitting down, up, wall, 3 meters, return, sitting again, and everything is done. The system give to the doctor or give to any part of the wall the report about what is the physical condition of these people. This is a system, sensor system, based in structured light. Okay, so they give so high number of information about this simple task, without any contact, without any view of the light because it's infrared. So it's very important, these kind of topics for all people, for everyone in general, because the task that he's going to do is what I did. And then you have a lot of information and a report in real time about the physical condition. What's happened in this project, for instance, is that the doctors are studying what they can do with this high number of information. Because up to this moment, they got accelerometers to the body, one chrono, and everything in very rude way. So, according with the doctrinal conception, you have all of this and smart sensors, photonic sensor system. What about one possibility of cognitive situation? Why not to check all people in residence or in many other places? Just gaming. So we developed one smart table in which the light, the sensor system based on image, normal cameras, in order to be cheap, very easy to do things with very expensive topics. And then, for instance, by follow the game, we are able to get, of course, all of this in a team with the Valdecilla Hospital, okay? We give very important and relevant information concerning the state of the emotion. For instance, what is the reaction time of the patient, what time need to conclude the game, how many errors, how many true events, something like that. And with different games, we get different aspects about the cognitive state of the art. Gaming, playing, enjoying people without any contact. Okay? This is another word that is just in this moment in going. For instance, just in order to illustrate, you have, this is the back part of this object, and everyone has a code. Everyone has a code. So you put all ones back, okay? And for instance, you ask to the patient, try to discover the twins that we have. In this case, is 6 twins, 12 twins, 24 twins, depends on the level of the, okay? And with that, this is a twin, okay? This is another twin, and then it's being evaluated in real time, okay? According with the rules that the Valdecilla Hospital team suggests us. This is another way, in very simple, in order to help all people and at the same time that is enjoying. Well, this is another possibility. Maybe this face is very well known for you. So just with an integrated fiber sensor system based in speckle, in Oporto people spoke about speckle. Speckle is very old, used in many things. It's possible to follow if the patient is in bed, is not in bed, even to get several relevant parameters. These are the experiments when we will put in the Valdecilla Hospital below the colchon. Okay. Well, another part of the health is really what we eat. So we can create systems in order that the healthy, to guarantee the quality of the food without any contact, without any change, without any interaction in the material. Well, health, we go to some examples in the medicine environment. We can measure during a operation, real-time operation on the health, we can measure even the pressure inside of the health. Fabric Perot system in fiber. From here, and then it's possible to measure the things. And after that, very important, the transducer part is going to be to the scratch paper. Only one use. And how is possible to do? By producing transducer and channels very cheap. $10. Scratch paper, no problem. Okay? Other possibility is to help the professionals during the chirurgical operations, and in this case is one glioblastoma. Okay? So handheld transducer, okay, with SERS, enhanced Ramales scattering, and then at the same time that the operation is going to be, is being done, they are discovering the places, they are discriminated the places of the area that is with health or that is illness, or with illness, okay? And then they do operation. At the same time, as if one person playing guitar is playing guitar. So this is very complex and very complementary attacks. In other cases, we use a light. Okay. In other cases, we use a light in order to know is cancer or no cancer, and even to do maps of the cancerous area. That is very important to the surgeon to have clear and experimental real-time signals concerning the borders of the problem. Okay. Is very important. So in other cases, we try to know about the structure of the morphological structure below one organ. And in this case, we can use optical coherent thermography in order to discover this morphological structure without any contact. And in other cases, we need to measure the speed of the blood by using, of course, Doppler self, okay? And we can follow in real time the speed of blood. And in other cases, we can do hybridization of several techniques, multimodal situations. And for instance, in this case, we are using OCT and Doppler. So we can see the structure, and we can see how is the flux through this structure, okay? And this is an image of one mice, head mice, okay? So you can see that the flux of the blood in this area of the brain is high. It's clear, empty. But after only 2 months of cocaine, this situation changed and came that. So this is very good example, experimental example, to understand what's happened with the drugs. In other cases, we need to measure biospecies. In this case, we can do all of this by using biophotonic sensors, whose general architecture is more or less this. So we have a lot of species, but we only are interested in one. So we need to do some biological receptor in order to pick up the desired species. And after that, we can use and transducer, optical transducer, in order to measure how many of these species we have in this case, okay? So the specificity gains for the biological receptor, very important, but the quantity decays from the transducer. This is one example, for instance, using mass tender interferometry and very tiny waveguides. In this case, we have very important evanescent fields that interact with the species. One species isolate another species with the target, okay? And then in phase, we have information. It's very interesting, this other example that happens during the COVID. During the COVID, there are people that have very, very well-developed technology for other things, and then we develop this in very fast way. They develop this part, okay, concerning COVID, so the biological receptor concerning COVID, and then by using a bimodal waveguide, one online waveguide, they got information in real time. This girl was able to get a very important project 15 days after we was closing homes, because she have the technology at this time. And then you can find a publication about. Well, we can propel matter, very tiny object. For instance, a blood, for instance, a cell, we send light, and then this object is propelled in this way. And that is proportional to the power of the light, the incident light, okay? With this idea, Arthur Askin Nobel Prize, okay, is the father. With this idea, we can do trapping of particles. We can do levitation of these particles. We can control, we can trap these particles, optical tweezers, okay? And if we use knowledge about Philip Russell speciality in hollow fibers, we can do trapping, we can propel, and we have inside of the hollow crystal fiber the species. With the same intensity along a lot of meters. And then you can do treatments or you can do measurements about this particle, whatever they like. And you can control the position of this particle because you introduce light in this way and in this way, so you have optical tweezer. Okay? You can put the tweezer without any contact in any place you like. So this is a powerful, this is developed by Philip Russell Group some years ago. Or you can deform, you could remember this image in Oporto. You can deform one cell because you can control the intensities. And then you can do measurements. And then you can do lab on chip. That you have yesterday one topic, so I don't know the more words. This is one of the chips that we developed in our lab using femtosecond lasers. And to conclude, one very important topic at this moment, Alzheimer. We can detect Alzheimer 20 years before, for instance, that the illness clearly appears. Okay, we can do. One of the lines that is working at this time is in the third experimental trial at this moment. is that it's correlated with beta-amyloid. Beta-amyloid is a research in the many people diet and in the research of the brain, okay? So beta-amyloid is one of the products. So someone discovered that beta-amyloid appears even in the crystallino, in the ice lens. So it's correlated with Alzheimer's. So if we can detect beta-amyloid in the crystallino, we have data without any contact. We have data in order to preview how many that this man, this girl, is going to have great possibilities to get Alzheimer's. So light inside crystallino, some photons upside, fluorescent decay correlate with the quantity of beta-amyloid. This is very important because enable, when this is going to be ready, enable the possibility that when you go to the physician in order to do some measurement in the eyes, if you introduce in the same device this system, you have the possibility to do an additional checking. So the same philosophy, photonics, biophotonics sensor. So as conclusions, is over time, so for all of you, whatever you like. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, José Miguel, for your inspiring conference. I'm used to that because one of my research lines has to do with photonic sensors in biomedicine and these things. So I find it so inspiring for me in my research, in my future research at the lab. So let's say we have 2 to 5 minutes to interact with the speaker. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Beautiful talk and insights. Thank you for that. What's the next technology you want to see transfer to health for us? Where do you want to see photonics take health for us?
What's
the technology you want to see become real in the health application that is from Photonics group here?
Well, it is going to be very important. The last one is very important. It's very important, this technology, because no time, I doesn't explain, that is using light is possible to get the same maps in the brain that we now are getting from the functional MRI, okay? This is very important because it's light, very low intensity light, okay? And you have in real time the behaviors of the correlation is very, very good, very high. So this is another technology. So many possibilities. It's very interesting, the technology that CINIAT is developing at this time concerning the measurement of the radiation in brachytherapy topics, because up to this moment, these operations are doing without any real control of the chirurgical operation. They have very good simulation software that is used in the planification of the operation, and then, of course, the experience of the surgeons are very important, but they don't have real-time measurements of the dose that we are using. And in order to be able to use this technology in places in which you have a lot of different, very delicate surroundings is very important to know, because if you are able to kill the bad boys, but at the same time you produce a very important illness in good boys, surrounding good boys, in this case you are reducing the quality of life of the patient. This is not good. So the cyanide is another possibility. You have a lot of possibilities. This is the reason for what people in the world say that photonics for the 21st century is going to play a similar role, okay, that has played electronics for the last century. Thank you for your question.
Okay, so probably that was one of the questions I planned to ask to the speaker, so it's okay. No, I think that this is a good way to finish, because again we have detectors, and again we have a bunch of data that we have to process, and again we have programming and machine learning, deep learning, in order to get how exact is what is the area, no? What is the functioning area in the brain and these things, no? So hopefully in the future we have positron emission tomography, but in this case using light, visible light or infrared, which is less aggressive. Okay. Any more questions? And if not, maybe we can continue in the coffee break and go for the third talk today, or not? Yeah, but let's go for the third talk, yes. Any more? No? So let's thank the speaker again.